Good afternoon, it's Lindsay. It's January 19th, 2026, and I feel like I have a bit of a new calling in life, and I feel that maybe it's hard to explain, but I think that when a person has experienced a lot of trauma and psychological confusion and trauma and manipulation, you go through like this entire sort of rebirth or restart system. How do I say this? You have like it's like you restart or something. When something really bad happens to you, you basically restart your entire, or you're forced often to have to restart your entire life. Maybe not necessarily by relocating, by changing jobs or whatever, but I mean like after like one kind of traumatic event after the next keeps happening to you, and so much confusion and chaos that you finally, it's like you just do a complete restart, like a mental, emotional, physical wipeout of your body, your soul, your mind, spirit, like a cleansing, more or less. Not in the aspect of going to a rehab necessarily. I'm talking about you do it to yourself, like you're not in a facility like a rehab or a retreat or a vacation. I'm talking about it's something that you do when you isolate yourself from people, and you're just taking a lot of time out for yourself and trying to rediscover, more or less like trying to read, or not trying to, because you will eventually, but just rediscovering who you are and what you might be what you're meant to do in this world or planet, and what maybe your real your true calling might be. That's what I'm talking about. But I feel like that I have a lot of interest in astrology, and I have throughout my life, astrology, things like this, but I don't. Now I'm going to read something from, let's see. Not like necessarily like horoscope astrology, but more in-depth astrology, like whenever you're dealing with a person's rising sign as opposed to their sun sign, which both of our value. However, I believe that whenever you really start to see people and get to know people, I believe from my experience with these kinds of individuals, the whole aspect of a rising sign is very valid. I didn't know anything about that kind of thing until a couple years ago, when I started getting more interested in it and studying it more. It's like, I don't know anything about what a rising sign is, because somebody had once asked me, well, your sun sign is a Capricorn, but what's your rising sign? I said, what's that? I didn't even know. But then when I started to research it and find out more about that, then I was like, wow, this really is interesting. Because why? Because what it does is it's more it's calculating the exact hour of your birth from according to your birth certificate to where you were born, what city, the exact time, and all that, and it does like a precise calculation of what your rising sign is. So, you have a rising sign, you have a sun sign, you have a moon sign, and those are the three signs which basically describe your character, and there's a lot of people. What's so funny is that I can get into debates with people about this, because they think like, and this is an example of some people who are extremely like, maybe they're raised Catholic or they're raised a certain kind of Christian religion, or I don't know. So there's a lot of people who think that astrology, just because of based on how they were raised or based on what they learned in church or what maybe they learned in school, they're very against it. They think that astrology and astrotheology, astrology, they think it's demonic, it's mean, it's horrible, it's something that's evil. But really, if you're a person who believes in the Bible and you read the Bible, and I believe that even the Old Testament as well as the St. James version of the Bible, from what I understand, the whole Bible is encoded with astrology. The Bible is an allegory of symbolism, and there's so many things that are indicative of astrology right there in the Bible. And so, the number 12, the 12 signs of the zodiac, the 12 apostles, 12. The number 12 is very significant. Okay, so do some research on that if you're somebody who debunks astrology, but it can be very much connected to the Bible. That's a person who speaks about this there's a lot of people who talk about that, but one such person who also is very controversial, by the way, but this man, Jordan Maxwell, and this is one of his books that he's written, The Matrix of Power. I'm sure this book talks. I think this book has something about astrology in it. I don't know. I forgot. It's been a while since I've looked at this book. Because astrology is something that I think is important if you're really trying to get to know a person and their personality and find out if you're compatible with that person. Because I think that I believe personally, as well as a lot of other people, that that astrology and your rising sign and sun sign, all that, it is important, I think, when it comes down to, like, if you're looking for a life partner, if you're looking for a companion, if you're looking for a business partner, if you're looking, there are a lot of people who firmly believe in astrology, and so I have to say that I am one of these people, and I just thought I'd talk about that because I don't know about tarot cards. I've never done readings of tarot cards, but I've been watching a lot of channels on YouTube to try to learn how these people are watching, how these people what they do, and they it's pretty interesting how some of them work or how they do this, their methods. I find it interesting. And some of these people, I think, truly are gifted. They seem to be very, they have something that's some kind of ability. And I can see that. I can tell when the ones are truly legit, and I can see when some are not. But I love to watch these people and watch their methods when they do these live readings and whatnot. Now, I have abilities, and I'm not trying to brag, but I have certain abilities where I can kind of predict certain things, and I get feelings about certain things or people, and I kind of can tell when somebody's lying to me, But that's not necessarily psychic. It's more of it could be, but it's also more about just trusting your intuition and your instincts in certain situations or around certain people and whatnot. But a lot of people, and this all can be tied to obviously psychology, and a lot of it is dark psychology and the occult and whatnot. Because people, I have always been able to, or I feel that I've pretty much always been able to kind of tap into people's feelings or their emotions sometimes, and what I pay attention to most when I'm talking to somebody or what I notice about a lot of people is their eyes. Not necessarily if they make eye contact, but when a person doesn't make eye contact with you, or they refuse to, they look down all the time, or they're looking away, or they're, that often indicates that they feel ashamed, or they're sad. They might be embarrassed, or they're lying. But the body language, whenever you're dealing with individuals, it's about body language. It's about because the eyes are the mirror to the soul, and that sounds cliche. Everybody says that, everybody knows that, but it's really true. You can look deep down into the soul of a person by their eyes, I think. And you can see a lot of their hurt, their pain, their frustrations, their insecurities, a lot, just because the eyes tell it all. But it's odd because I don't feel like I would love, I wish I knew how. Maybe one day I'll learn how to do tarot cards or something. That might be something I might try to take an adventure in, is trying to learn how to do that myself. But I think that what I would like to be able to try to do to make a living or make money, what we all need. Unfortunately, you got to have money to live, right? But I feel that if you're doing something that you're not supposed to be doing, or that you don't want to be doing, as far as like to make a living or make money, you shouldn't be doing it. And there's too many people trapped in a job that they hate, or a situation that they hate, because they don't want to take the risk of trying something different. And I'm learning about myself that, like, if you don't take certain risks in life, or believe in yourself about certain things, and believe you do have the ability to do things, then you might not ever know. Not till you try. And I believe that, like, it's good to isolate yourself to an extent. It's good to not always be around people. And it is good also sometimes to be around people. But if you're always around people and social situations, it can be very mentally, emotionally draining for people that are trying to really, like, rebirth themselves, get back in touch with who they really are, what your real calling is, I guess.